That's when they decided to blame the leaders of the rally?
That's a fact, Jack. They rounded up all 8 male leaders of the 8-hour movement, whether they had been there or not, and they sentenced 7 of them to death after a kangaroo trial. They didn't even charge them with participating in the fight. They couldn't have, because some of us weren't even there. They charged Albert and the others with inciting to riot and made that a capital offense. I spent the next 17 months leafleting everybody in Chicago and speaking all over everywhere, trying to get Albert and those 8 guys off.
There were only 4.
Only 4 got hanged, Doc. You got that part right. They gave one guy 15 years, then they commuted 2 death sentences, and they murdered Louis Ling in jail, just as sure as I'm looking at you. They killed Louis Ling because he was the favorite, because he was the best looking, because he was clearly the least afraid of them. See, a lot of people, just about all the working people, were on our side. They knew the men in jail were innocent. When the cops put the men in a cell that could be viewed from the sidewalk, Ling would show off. He'd show off his muscles doing chin-ups on the bars and just generally put on a show for whoever would watch. And believe me, the ladies came to watch.
Excuse me, Miss Parsons, but I believe you're wrong. Louis Ling killed himself.
If you believe that, you'll believe anything. Louis had his head blown off by a blasting cap in a cigar. Do you think anybody as vain as Louis Ling would have blown his face off like that? Do you think anybody who wrote the most militant statements was so afraid to die? You better drop off your official story, mister, and start thinking. Louis Ling was murdered in jail.
For such a government as this, I can feel no respect, and I will combat them, despite their power, despite their police, despite their spies.
He was talking about the 1% and the 99%.
Adolf Fischer's last words were, "This is the happiest moment of my life."
And my Albert shouted his last words, "Let the voice of the people be heard."
August Spies made the most famous of all of the final words of the 4 that were hanged.
The time will come when our silence will be more powerful than the voices you strangle today.
The time will come when our silence will be more powerful than the voices you strangle today.
And then they hanged them. That was the boss's justice.
What did you do during all this?
It was the worst day of my life. I gathered up Lulu and Albert Jr. and spent all morning trying to get in to see Albert. The cops kept giving me the runaround, even when I begged them, even when I offered to stay outside and just let our children see their father. Then they arrested me. They stripped off my clothes and threw me into a jail cell. That's where I was when they murdered my husband.
But you made it through. You carried on the struggle for almost 60 more years.
They were hard years, too. I helped the industrial workers of the world, the Socialist Party and the Communist Party. I was arrested over and over again, just for speaking out. We may stumble, but we never fall. We may get things temporarily wrong, but we will always right ourselves. We will continue to fight. We will continue to do it together. And we will be victorious.
Jace Akbar starred